Before we come to earth, long before we take our first breath, the soul begins to weave its story. It chooses the lessons, the encounters, the challenges, and the loves that will shape its journey. Dolores Cannon's work revealed that even the most painful experiences are not random. They are part of a higher plan written by the soul itself. Among the most profound of these lessons is separation. To the human mind, separation feels cruel, unjust, unnecessary. It feels like something breaking apart. But to the soul, it is an act of creation, a sacred unfolding designed to awaken growth, compassion, and remembrance. Souls sometimes agree to walk together for only a short time, knowing that their parting will ignite a transformation that could not happen any other way. In the higher realms, there is no loss, there is only expansion. Souls meet, connect, and part with perfect understanding that even distance is just another form of closeness. When we descend into the physical world, that memory fades. We forget the agreements we made, the reasons we chose certain paths. And so, when separation arrives, it feels like betrayal rather than the fulfillment of a sacred plan. But deep within, the soul remembers. It whispers, even through tears, "This too was chosen. This too is love." For some, separation comes to break old cycles, patterns that the soul has carried for lifetimes. For others, it comes to awaken strength, independence, and inner truth. It is the universe's way of pushing us to grow beyond comfort, to find wholeness within rather than seeking it outside ourselves. Imagine two flames burning side by side. When they are too close, they merge and lose their distinct shapes. The separation of the flames allows each one to grow brighter, to discover its own rhythm. In the same way, when souls part, it is not the end of their connection, it is the beginning of a deeper illumination. Dolores Cannon often spoke of Earth as a classroom for the soul. Every heartbreak, every silence, every goodbye is a lesson carefully placed along the path of awakening. If we could see our lives from the soul's perspective, we would realize that separation is not a punishment, but a sacred pause, a breath that allows both souls to evolve, to remember who they truly are. So, when separation comes, let the heart grieve, but let the soul remember. The one who walks away is not lost. They are walking their part of the divine design. You are not being abandoned. You are being invited to grow into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. The story of separation is not the story of endings. It is the story of beginnings written in invisible ink, waiting to be revealed by the light of understanding. When someone leaves, the world seems to grow quieter. The space they once filled becomes a void that echoes with memory. The heart, in its human fragility, believes it has lost something precious, a person, a bond, a reason to smile. Yet, as Dolores Cannon often reminded her readers and clients, the soul does not lose, it only transforms. Loss, from the soul's perspective, is an illusion born of limited vision. What appears as absence is simply presence in another form. The love that once held your hand now surrounds you as an invisible current. The voice that once spoke to you now whispers through intuition, dreams, and synchronicities. The energy of that connection does not disappear, it expands beyond the physical, reminding you that love cannot die because it was never born. It simply is. We mourn because we forget. We forget that every separation is temporary, every goodbye a bend in a longer path. The soul sees time as a circle, not a line. It knows that what departs in one season will return in another, changed, renewed, ready for the next chapter of evolution. This illusion of loss is one of Earth's greatest teachers. It brings us face to face with our attachment to form the way we cling to faces, names, and voices, believing they define the essence of love. Yet Dolores's work revealed that essence exists beyond identity. Souls play roles in each lifetime: lover, friend, teacher, stranger. The forms shift, but the connection remains. What you call loss is the soul-changing costume, preparing for another scene in the eternal play. Sometimes, the universe removes someone not to punish you, but to protect the sacred unfolding of your journey. Their absence may be the silence needed for your spirit to hear itself again. It may be the pause before a greater truth reveals itself. The soul, in its infinite wisdom, arranges these moments to help you remember that you are never truly alone. If you close your eyes and breathe, you may still feel them not as a body beside you, but as a presence within you. That is the truth beneath the illusion. Nothing real is ever lost. What departs physically remains spiritually alive, woven into the fabric of who you are. So, when you feel the ache of loss, do not fight it. Let it open you. Let it remind you that love cannot be contained by distance or death. The illusion fades the moment you realize that what you miss is not gone, it has simply changed form. And in that quiet realization, grief begins to soften into grace. For the soul, there are no endings, only transformations that guide us closer to the remembrance of eternity. Pain has a strange honesty. It does not hide or disguise itself. It arrives uninvited, demanding to be felt. When separation touches the heart, pain becomes a mirror, one that reflects not only what we lost, but also what we have carried, often without realizing. Dolores Cannon taught that the people who hurt us most are often the ones who agreed, before this life, to awaken our deepest lessons. When love breaks or fades, we tend to look outward. We replay moments, question words, and search for reasons in the other. But the soul invites us to turn inward. It whispers, "What in me is being revealed?" The mirror of pain does not show cruelty for its own sake. It shows the hidden wounds we've kept buried. It reveals the fears we still hold of abandonment, rejection, unworthiness. It exposes how often we have built our sense of self upon someone else's presence. This mirror is not punishment. It is grace disguised as discomfort. In the same way that fire refines metal, pain refines the soul. It burns away illusions and reveals truth. When we are brave enough to look into the mirror without turning away, we begin to see the patterns that have followed us through lifetimes, the attachments, the expectations, the stories we tell ourselves about love and loss. Dolores often said that twin souls and deep spiritual connections serve as catalysts for awakening. They come into our lives not just to comfort us, but to challenge us, to bring to the surface what is ready to be healed. That is why such relationships can feel both divine and devastating. The light of recognition they bring also exposes the shadows within us. The mirror of pain invites humility. It teaches us that healing does not come from blaming or clinging, but from seeing. To see the wound clearly is to begin to free ourselves from it. When we stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin asking, "What is this trying to show me?" the pain begins to shift. It becomes less like a storm and more like a teacher. Look closely, and you may find that the person who hurt you did not break you. They revealed where you were already fractured. Their absence may have uncovered your forgotten strength. Their silence may have guided you back to your own voice. Every ache is a message from the soul saying, "Here is the place where light needs to enter." The mirror of pain is difficult to face, but it is also sacred. For once you have seen yourself through it, you will no longer fear your reflection. You will understand that the cracks were never flaws, they were openings. And through those openings, love begins to flow again. Not as dependency, but as truth. There comes a moment, after loss and revelation, when the soul enters silence. The world feels distant, as if light itself has retreated. This is what many mystics and seekers through the ages have called the dark night of the soul. Dolores Cannon described it as a phase of spiritual rebirth, when everything you believed yourself to be dissolves, and something new begins to awaken. At first, it feels like falling. You search for familiar anchors, but they are gone. The love that once guided you has disappeared. The person who once felt like home now feels unreachable. Even your prayers seem to vanish into an empty sky. The mind calls it despair, but the soul calls it transformation. In truth, this darkness is not punishment, it is purification. In this night, illusions die quietly. The false identities built around relationships, achievements, and external approval begin to crumble. What remains is something raw and honest, your essence. The ego resists this process because it equates stillness with death. But the soul knows that only what is unreal can die. What is eternal can never be touched by loss. Dolores Cannon often said that souls choose experiences that force them inward, not to suffer, but to remember. In the dark night, you are being stripped of everything that is not love, so that love itself can finally be seen. You are being asked to walk through the emptiness not to find another, but to find yourself. The darkness is intelligent. It takes away only what no longer serves your growth. It removes distractions so you can listen to the quiet hum of your own spirit. It is a sacred cocoon, not a grave. Inside it, something new is being born. It is tempting to rush through this stage, to fill the void with noise, new attachments, or false hope. But healing requires patience. Like the seed that must rest in the soil before it sprouts, the soul must rest in the dark before it remembers its own light. There will be nights when you feel forgotten by the universe, but even then, you are not alone. The same force that seemed to take everything away is also holding you in its invisible arms. Every tear, every silence, every unanswered prayer is guiding you back to the source of love within. When the dawn finally breaks, and it always does, you will not be the same. You will see that the dark night was not a descent into nothingness, but a passage toward truth. It did not destroy you, it revealed you, and from that stillness, the soul emerges not weaker, but luminous, reborn in its own light. Healing does not happen because time passes. It begins when remembrance returns, when the soul recalls what pain made us forget. Dolores Cannon often said that true healing is not about fixing what is broken, but remembering that we were never broken at all. The separation, the sorrow, the silence, they are all parts of a larger plan designed to guide us back to that remembrance. When the heart shatters, it creates space. In that space, truth begins to whisper. Beneath the noise of fear and longing, something eternal waits. It is the quiet knowledge that you have never been incomplete, that no one else can make or unmake you. What you loved in another was a reflection of the light already living within you. Healing is the moment you see that reflection, not in someone's eyes, but in your own. The world teaches us to search for wholeness outside ourselves in relationships, approval, or success. But when separation comes, all those illusions fall away, and we are left facing the truth. What we thought we lost was never outside of us. The love we grieve was always ours, flowing through us, not to us. To remember this is to heal. Dolores' teachings remind us that every soul carries within it a spark of the divine. That spark cannot be taken, diminished, or destroyed. Even in the deepest sorrow, it burns quietly, waiting to be noticed. The task is not to chase light, but to uncover it, to brush away the dust of fear and shame until what was always shining becomes visible again. Healing begins the moment we stop asking, "How can I get them back?" and start asking, "How can I return to myself?" The universe responds gently to that question. It sends signs, dreams, synchronicities, little reminders that you are not lost, only unfolding. The path of healing is not about forgetting, but about seeing everything, even pain, as part of love's design. There is a soft power in remembering. It does not erase what happened, but it transforms the meaning of it. You begin to understand that the person who left was not taking something from you, but returning you to yourself. You begin to realize that separation was not an ending, but a mirror reflecting the truth you had forgotten. You are already whole. Healing is not about becoming who you were before the pain. It is about becoming who you are beyond it. And when you reach that quiet space, when you breathe and feel peace returning, you will know that nothing was ever truly lost. The journey was never about finding love. It was about remembering that you are love itself. There comes a moment, after all the searching, when the soul grows tired of reaching outward. It stops chasing what has gone and begins to turn inward, where the truest reunion has always waited. Dolores Cannon often said that before souls can reunite in the physical world, they must first remember their unity within. The real meeting of twin flames, she explained, begins not with two bodies, but with one heart awakening to itself. When you have walked through the fire of separation and survived its silence, something begins to shift. You start to see that the other person was never truly the source of your love. They were the reflection of it. They were the mirror that showed you both your light and your shadow, and in their absence, you are asked to integrate those pieces, to bring them home to your own being. This is the reunion within, when the fragmented parts of you, the strong and the soft, the giving and the receiving, the longing and the surrender, finally sit together in peace. It is not the return of the past, but the remembrance of balance. The masculine and feminine energies that once sought harmony through another now begin to dance inside you. It is not an easy process. The ego resists, whispering that only reunion with the other can bring healing. But the soul knows differently. It understands that love born from dependency cannot last. It fades with distance and time. True union begins when you become whole enough to love without fear, to give without losing yourself, to stay open even when alone. Dolores' teachings remind us that every soul carries both energies, the creator and the nurturer, the sun and the moon. When they align within, you no longer feel abandoned or divided. The need to chase, to cling, to prove love disappears. In its place grows a quiet joy, the peace of knowing you are already complete. When this reunion happens inside, something magical follows. You begin to feel connected to the other person again, not through attachment, but through energy. You sense them in dreams, in music, in the wind, not as a longing, but as harmony. The love no longer demands possession. It becomes presence. The reunion within is the moment when the soul stops asking, "When will they return?" and begins to whisper, "I have returned to myself." It is a homecoming so profound that even if the physical reunion never happens, you feel whole. And paradoxically, it is in this wholeness that true reunion in this life or another becomes possible. For only when two souls remember their own completeness can they meet again in freedom, not as two halves seeking completion, but as two flames already whole, burning side by side in sacred balance. Some loves do not belong to time. They stretch beyond the limits of life and death, beyond distance, beyond memory. They move like rivers beneath the surface of existence, quiet yet constant, carrying souls toward each other across the ages. Dolores Cannon called this the eternal thread, the unbroken connection between twin souls that no lifetime can erase. When you reach the end of a journey marked by separation, pain, and awakening, you begin to see that nothing was ever truly lost. The faces may change, the circumstances may shift, but the essence of love remains. It travels with you, written into the soul's memory, waiting patiently for recognition. The human heart fears endings because it sees only what is visible. But the soul understands that separation is never final. Those who walk away in this life often return in another, perhaps not as lovers, but as teachers, friends, or even fleeting strangers who awaken a familiar peace. Love reshapes itself again and again because its purpose is not to bind, but to expand. Eternal love is not a promise of always being together in form. It is the certainty that no experience, no distance, no death can undo what has been woven by the divine. Once two souls have truly seen each other, beyond the mask of the human story, that recognition becomes part of eternity. It lives on as light, as energy, as vibration. Dolores Cannon's regressions revealed that souls often travel in groups, meeting again and again in different roles. Sometimes one leads while the other follows. Sometimes one loves from afar, while the other learns to stand alone. Yet every meeting serves the same purpose, to bring both closer to unconditional love. And so, love that never ends is not about possession or permanence. It is about evolution, the ongoing remembrance that we are all connected through the same divine source. When you understand this, even goodbyes become sacred. They are simply pauses in an infinite melody, moments of rest before the song begins again. At the soul's deepest level, there is no separation, no ending, no loss. There is only the continuous movement of love, learning, growing, remembering itself through you. And when this truth finally settles in your heart, you will know that the story of love never truly ends. It only changes its form to keep awakening your soul. Thank you for walking with me through this journey of remembrance. If these words touched something within you, let them continue to echo. Leave your reflection in the comments. Share this video with someone who might need healing, and help our light grow stronger by subscribing to the channel. Your presence here is part of this circle of souls that keeps expanding through love and understanding. And if you feel called to support this work and the energy behind it, you can do so through the thanks button right below the video. Every gesture, every word of encouragement helps this message continue to reach more hearts. Until we meet again, may you walk gently with your soul. And remember, separation is never the end. It is the beginning of light. See you in our next video, where we'll keep exploring the mysteries of love, time, and the infinite journey of the soul.